Amara had just started working 2 days ago. Being a doctor had always been her dream, but she never expected it to be this overwhelming. The long hours, the emergency cases, the endless responsibilities, it was exhausting. Still, she was grateful. She had worked too hard to get here, and she was determined to prove herself. That evening, as she walked home, the sky was dark, and the air smelled of rain. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Amara wrapped her arms around herself and quickened her steps, hoping to get home before the storm. Then she saw him. A young man sat hunched on the sidewalk, his clothes torn, his hair unkempt, and his skin covered in dirt. He looked like he hadn't eaten in days. People walked past without a second glance, as if he was invisible. Amara hesitated. She was exhausted, and this wasn't her problem. But something in her heart wouldn't let her walk away. She sighed, stepping closer. "Hey," she said gently. "Are you okay?" The young man looked up, his eyes dull and lifeless. He didn't respond. Amara crouched beside him. "Look, I don't know what happened to you, but you can't stay here in the rain. Let me help you." He scoffed weakly. "Help? No one helps people like me." "Well, I do," she said, offering her hand. "Come with me." For a moment, he just stared at her as if trying to decide if she was real. Then, slowly, he reached out and took her hand. Amara led him to her tiny apartment. She gave him clean clothes, made him warm food, and let him sleep on her couch. He barely spoke, only mumbling his name, Tunde, before exhaustion pulled him into sleep. The next morning, Amara woke to the sound of quiet murmuring. She sat up and saw the young man Tunde sitting on the couch, staring at the steaming bowl of porridge she had left for him. His fingers trembled as he lifted the spoon, hesitating, as if unsure whether he deserved to eat. "You don't have to be scared," Amara said gently. "Eat." He flinched at the sound of her voice, but nodded, taking slow, careful bites. She watched him for a moment before sitting across from him. "Your name isn't Tunde, is it?" she asked. His spoon froze midair. A long silence stretched between them before he sighed. "No, it's Ade." Amara gave a small nod. "Ade, that's a strong name." He let out a bitter chuckle. "Not strong enough," she frowned. "What happened to you, Ade?" "Everything." "I wasn't always like this," Ade began, his voice hoarse. "I had a family, a good life. My father was a respected trader, and my mother, she loved me more than anything. I had dreams once, you know? I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to paint the world the way I saw it through sounds." His lips trembled. "But dreams don't matter when the world turns against you." Amara listened intently. "My father trusted the wrong people. He went into business with men who had no loyalty, only greed. They tricked him, stole everything, and left us with nothing. He couldn't bear the shame. One morning, we found him hanging from the ceiling." Amara's breath hitched. "Ade, I'm so sorry. My mother tried to hold us together, but poverty doesn't care about love. She fell sick, and without money for medicine, I watched her die in my arms." He clenched his fists, his body shaking. "I was alone after that, desperate. I did things I'm not proud of just to survive. Stole, lied. I even worked for the same men who ruined my father. I told myself it was just for a while that I'd get out. But once you enter the darkness, it swallows you whole. One day, I refused to do a job for them. I wanted to escape, start over. They beat me within an inch of my life and left me for dead in the streets. Since then, I've been nothing. Just a ghost walking through this city, waiting to disappear completely." Amara felt a lump in her throat. She had treated patients before, had seen pain. But this was different. This was a man who had lost everything, who believed he had no reason to exist. "You're not nothing, Ade." He let out a hollow laugh. "Then what am I?" She met his gaze. "Someone who still has a chance to fight." For the first time, Ade looked at her, really looked at her. And in that moment, something in his eyes shifted just slightly. Hope. But Ade had lied about everything. He couldn't dare to tell Amara the truth about who his father was and how he has disowned him because of music, and that his mother was dead because of his abusive father. Over the next few weeks, Amara did everything she could to help Ade. She bought him proper clothes, helped him regain his strength with regular meals, and even encouraged him to get a job. But no matter how much he tried, something always seemed to hold him back. One evening, as they sat in her tiny apartment, Amara sighed, watching him stare at the floor. "Ade, you can't keep living like this. You have a second chance. You just need to believe in yourself." He chuckled bitterly. "And do what? I have nothing, no skills, no future. That's not true. Everyone has something, he scoffed. Like what? Well, you said you wanted to be a singer before. He shook his head. Not anymore. He hesitated. I used to. My mother loved my voice. She always said I could make people feel something just by singing. His expression darkened. But that was a long time ago. I lost the will to sing since her death. Amara's heart clenched at the sadness in his tone, but she wasn't ready to give up. Sing for me, he shook his head. No, I can't. It's been too long. After a long pause, he closed his eyes and started to sing. The moment his voice filled the room, Amara felt goosebumps rise on her skin. His voice was deep yet smooth, filled with raw emotion. It was the kind of voice that could make the world stop and listen. She was completely mesmerized. When he finished, the room was silent. Ade glanced up, nervous. That bad, huh? Ade, that was incredible. Your voice, it's special. You could be something great. I care, Amara said firmly, and I'll prove it. From that day forward, Amara encouraged Ade to sing more. She took him to local talent shows, recorded videos of his performances, and even uploaded them online. Slowly, people started noticing him. His name began to spread, and before long, invitations from music producers started rolling in. But what Amara didn't know, what Ade had never told her, was that he wasn't just any struggling man. He was the disowned son of Chief Olumide Williams, one of the wealthiest billionaires in the country. Ade had walked away from his life of privilege years ago after his father disowned him for refusing to follow the family business. He had chosen his own path, only to end up in the streets after everything fell apart. Now, as his name began to rise again, whispers started to spread. The media took interest, and soon, the truth about who he really was would come crashing into his life once more. And this time, Amara would be right in the middle of it. The news spread like wildfire. Billionaire Chief Olumide Williams, long-lost son found, but he wants nothing to do with him. Ade swore never to have anything to do with his father after Amara pleaded several times, but something wasn't clear to Amara. He claimed his father had lost his wealth, but that wasn't true. Tell me the truth, Amara declared one morning. Don't you think I deserve an explanation after you lied about what happened to your father? But Ade said nothing. As the controversy with his father persisted, his name became even bigger. People weren't just drawn to his voice. They were drawn to his story. The boy who was abandoned, who rose from the streets, and who refused to let money buy his forgiveness. International labels reached out. His songs topped the charts. Soon he was traveling across the world, performing in sold-out arenas. Paris, London, New York, Johannesburg. Ade was now a global sensation. But through it all, one thing remained constant. Amara. She was more than just the woman who saved him. She was the woman he adored. The one who had seen his worth when he had nothing. The one who had fought for him, even against himself. And the world noticed. Amara became an inspiration, a symbol of loyalty and strength. Magazines called her the woman behind the legend. Women all over the world admired her, saying she was proof that a good woman could change a man's life. She never asked for money, fame, or anything in return, one TV host said in an interview. She just believed in him. Everywhere Ade went, reporters asked him the same question, "Who is Amara to you?" And every time his answer was the same, "She is everything." One evening, after a performance in Dubai, Ade and Amara sat on the balcony of his hotel suite, looking out at the city lights. "You know," Ade said, his voice soft, "the world calls me a star, but you, Amara, you're the real light." Amara smiled, shaking her head. "You give me too much credit, Ade." "No," he said, turning to face her. "I don't give you enough." He reached for her hands. "You stood by me when I had nothing. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And now, when the world knows my name, I realize the only thing that truly matters is you. I don't know where life will take me, but I know one thing for sure. I want you with me, always." Amara blinked back tears. "Ade, I adore you, Amara, and I want the whole world to know it." Then, right there under the moonlight, Ade pulled out a small velvet box and opened it. Inside was a stunning diamond ring. "Amara," he whispered, "will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Amara's face. She nodded, her voice breaking. "Yes." Ade slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into a deep, loving kiss. The next morning, the world woke up to the biggest headline yet. Social media erupted. Fans celebrated. The internet flooded with messages calling Amara the woman of the century. But Amara wasn't still comfortable that Aid still held his father at heart, refusing reconciliation. So one day, after Amara insisted, Aid finally spoke out. Aid's childhood was not one of warmth or laughter. It was one of fear, silence, and pain. His father, Chief Olumide Williams, was a man of power and wealth, but inside the walls of their grand mansion, he was a man consumed by anger and control. Aid's mother, Tolani, was the only light in his life. She was kind, graceful, and full of love. Everything his father was not. But no matter how hard she tried, she could never escape his wrath. Aid was just 6 years old the first time he saw his father raise a hand against his mother. It happened in the dining room. The expensive china plates shattered against the walls as his father's deep, angry voice thundered through the house. "You think you can question me?" Chief Williams roared. Tolani flinched, trying to shield herself, but before she could react, a sharp slap landed across her face. Aid, too small to do anything, watched in horrified silence. He wanted to scream, to run to his mother's side, but the fear froze him in place. It didn't stop there. The yelling, the insults, the bruises hidden beneath expensive silk blouses. His mother tried to protect him from it, tried to tell him, "Don't be afraid, my son, I'll be fine." But he knew she was lying. He saw her cry when she thought no one was looking. He heard her muffled sobs in the middle of the night. He saw the way her body weakened, how her spirit dimmed, and he hated his father for it. The abuse went on for years until one night, when Aid was 14, something changed. It was raining heavily, and the house was unusually quiet. Aid had just finished his homework when he heard the sound of his father's voice, low, angry. He rushed downstairs, only to find his mother collapsed on the floor. Her chest rose and fell in short, painful gasps. Her face was pale, her hands clutching at her heart. "Mum," Aid screamed, rushing to her side. His father stood there, frozen in shock. For the first time, there was no anger in his eyes, just realization. But it was too late. By the time they got her to the hospital, Tolani was gone. A heart attack, the doctors said. Years of stress, pain, and fear had taken its toll. Aid sat by her lifeless body, his whole world shattered. He never cried. He just sat there, staring at her peaceful face, remembering how she used to hum soft melodies to him when he was a child. That was the moment he knew. He would never be like his father. He would never take over the family business. He would never let power turn him into a monster. The only thing that had ever brought him peace was music. His mother used to tell him, "Sing, my son, your voice is a gift." And so he sang. Music became his escape, his therapy, his rebellion against the man who had destroyed his mother. When his father demanded he take over the family empire, Aid refused. "You killed the only person I loved," he spat. "I'd rather die than become like you." That was the day Chief Williams disowned him. That was the day Aid walked out of his father's house with nothing but his voice and a burning hole in his heart, and he never looked back. Tolani Williams was the kind of woman who carried grace like a second skin, soft-spoken, patient, and full of love. She believed in peace above all else, even when it came at the cost of her own happiness. Every morning, before the sun had fully risen, she would wake up quietly, careful not to disturb anyone. Despite living in a mansion filled with wealth and luxury, she worked like a servant in her own home. She would go into the kitchen, tying her wrapper tightly around her waist, and begin her daily routine, cooking, washing, cleaning. The scent of freshly made yam porridge or hot akara would fill the air, but no one ever truly appreciated her effort. Her husband, Chief Olumide Williams, could afford an army of housekeepers, but he refused to hire any. "What is your contribution in this house?" he would ask her coldly, watching as she scrubbed the floors with her bare hands. "You sit here, eating my food, spending my money, yet you do nothing." Tolani would not argue. She would bow her head, swallow her pain, and continue working. She believed that silence was strength, that enduring her husband's cruelty would somehow keep the family together. But in the end, it was that silence that destroyed her. Aid watched his mother suffer for years. He saw the way she forced a smile even when her body was weak. He noticed how her hands, once soft, became rough with labor. He noticed how she flinched when his father walked past, how she never met his eyes anymore. She never complained. She never screamed when his father humiliated her at the dinner table. She never fought back when he ignored her presence at public gatherings. She never shed a tear when he called her useless. She just kept working, believing that maybe one day he would change. But he never did. Instead, the weight of her unspoken pain crushed her. Years of emotional and physical torment slowly drained the life out of her. By the time Aid was a teenager, he noticed how much she had changed. Her once bright eyes were always tired. Her laughter, so warm when he was a child, had disappeared. Her body had grown weaker, her hands often trembling when she cooked. Yet still, she remained silent, until the day her body couldn't take it anymore. That fateful night, as the rain poured outside, Aid heard his father's voice booming in the living room. Another argument, another round of insults. "You do nothing in this house, yet you expect me to treat you like a queen?" Aid had heard it before, but this time his mother did not respond. When he rushed downstairs, he found her collapsed on the cold marble floor, clutching her chest. He had lost the only person who ever truly loved him, and the man responsible for it stood just a few feet away. That was the day Ade made a vow. He would never be like his father. He would never let silence be his prison, and he would never forgive the man who took everything from him. Ade spoke on social media and talk shows enough information he could disclose. Social media exploded with debates. Young people flooded the internet, praising Ade for standing his ground. "Parents always think they can abandon us and come back when we make it," one person tweeted. Ade owes him nothing. That man abandoned him, let him stay gone. But not everyone agreed. Forgiveness is important no matter what, he's still his father. Chief Williams is trying to make things right. Shouldn't Aid give him a chance? For Aid, none of it mattered. The moment he found out his father was looking for him, he shut the door on that part of his past. He refused his father's calls, ignored his letters, and made it clear in interviews he had no father. But Chief Williams wasn't giving up. Unbeknownst to Aid, his father had begun sponsoring his shows. Every venue, every production cost, it was all covered by his father's money. He never showed up, never demanded anything. He just gave. Amara was the one who found out first. She had been meeting with an event organizer when she noticed a familiar name on the sponsorship contracts, Olumide Williams. Her heart pounded. She rushed to confront Chief Williams at his estate. "Why are you doing this?" she demanded. "Aid doesn't want anything from you." The old man sighed, looking much older than she remembered from television. His once proud eyes were filled with regret. "I know," he said softly, "but I can't stand by and do nothing. I can't change the past, but maybe I can help him now." Amara hesitated. There was no doubt in her mind that Chief Williams regretted his actions, but would Aid ever believe it? That night, she sat with Addie in their apartment. "Aid, your father is trying," Addie scoffed. "Trying to make himself feel better? I don't care." "He's sponsoring your shows," Addie froze. "What? He's been funding everything without telling you," she explained. "He's not asking for anything in return. He just wants to help." Addie clenched his jaw, his hands curling into fists. "He wants to buy his way back into my life. Typical." Amara reached for his hand. "Aid, maybe he really is sorry." He pulled away. "Sorry? Amara, do you know what it was like to be thrown away like garbage? To beg for food? To sleep on the streets knowing the man who was supposed to love you didn't care if you lived or died? Just because I questioned him and wanting to be a musician," his voice cracked. "I don't want his money. I don't want his guilt. I want nothing from him." Amara's heart ached. She wanted to respect his feelings, but she also knew carrying this hatred would only hurt him in the long run. A few weeks later, during one of Ade's biggest shows, a figure stood in the crowd, watching quietly. Chief Williams. Amara noticed him, and without thinking, she walked over. "You came," she whispered. The old man nodded, his eyes glued to his son on stage. "I had to." The performance was breathtaking. Ade's voice carried pain, passion, and power. And in that moment, Chief Williams saw what he had lost. Not just a son, but a brilliant, unstoppable man. When the show ended, Amara made a bold decision. She pulled Ade aside backstage. "There's someone here to see you." Ade frowned. "If it's the press I told you I'm not doing, it's your father." His whole body went rigid. His jaw clenched. "Amara, just listen to him, Ade," she pleaded. "Not for him, for you." Chief Williams stood there, looking smaller than Aid remembered. "Son," Aid's eyes burned with emotions he wasn't ready to face. "Don't call me that." "I deserve that," Chief Williams admitted. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve it, but I need you to know, losing you was the worst mistake of my life." Aid swallowed hard, his fists shaking. "You didn't lose me. You abandoned me because I confronted you about what you did to my mother. And I've regretted it every day since." Silence stretched between them. Then Aid shook his head, stepping back. "I can't do this." He turned and walked away. The media went into a frenzy. The headline the next morning read, "Aid rejects his billionaire father. Should he forgive?" Debates raged on social media. Some called Aid strong, others called him bitter. Parents across the country begged him to forgive, but Aid stayed silent. It was Amara who wouldn't give up. She sat beside him one evening, holding his hand. "Aid, I know you're hurting, but carrying this pain, it won't undo what happened. It won't make things better." Aid swallowed, staring at the floor. "I don't know how to forgive him, Amara." "You don't have to forgive him today," she said gently. "But maybe don't shut the door forever." Aid closed his eyes. For the first time, he let himself think about it. And deep inside, a small, uncertain part of him wondered, was it possible to heal? Soon news of Aid's proposal to Amara spread like wildfire. Every media outlet covered it, and fans across the world celebrated their love. But one man, in particular, took special interest, Chief Williams. The moment he heard the news, something inside him shifted. His son was truly happy, building a life with the woman who had stood by him when he had nothing. And for the first time, Chief Williams realized something. He wanted to be part of that life. But after everything he had done, he knew words wouldn't be enough. He had to show his son that he was truly sorry. So he made a decision. He would give his son the grandest introduction ceremony the country had ever seen. 1 week later, a convoy of luxury cars, drummers, dancers, and elders arrived at Amara's family home. The streets were lined with curious onlookers, watching in awe as the procession unfolded. Chief Williams had spared no expense. Trucks arrived carrying luxurious traveling bags, rare fabrics, jewelry, designer clothes, and crates of the finest wine. The gifts were endless. Brand new mansion deeded in Amara's name. The elders from both families gathered, and Chief Williams stepped forward, dressed in the most elegant traditional attire. He knelt before Amara's parents, a gesture that stunned everyone. "I have come with my full chest," he said humbly, "to ask for the hand of your daughter on behalf of my son, Aid. I failed him once, but I will not fail him again. Please accept these gifts as a token of my gratitude for raising the woman who saved my son's life." Gasps filled the air. No one had expected the great Chief Williams to humble himself this way. Aid had been watching from a distance, his arms crossed, his emotions a tangled mess. He had made it clear he wanted nothing from his father. But as he watched the man kneel before Amara's parents, openly admitting his failures, openly giving without asking for anything in return, something inside him cracked. This wasn't the proud, unbending man who had abandoned him. This was a father trying to make things right. For the first time, Aid saw not a billionaire, not a businessman, but a broken man desperate to be part of his son's life. Amara touched his arm gently. "Aid," she whispered, "maybe it's time to let go." Aid took a deep breath. The anger, the pain, the resentment, it had fueled him for so long. It was time. Slowly, Aid walked toward his father. The crowd fell silent. Chief Williams looked up, his eyes filled with uncertainty. Aid took a deep breath. "You really did all this?" His father nodded. "Not for myself, for you, for Amara, for the family I should have never turned away." Silence stretched between them. "You're still dramatic as hell, old man." Chief Williams' eyes widened, and then he laughed, a deep, relieved, joyous laugh. Aid shook his head, smirking slightly. Then, before he could change his mind, he stepped forward and embraced his father. The crowd erupted in cheers. Amara wiped tears from her eyes. The internet went wild. And just like that, years of pain melted away. The wounds were still there, but for the first time in a long time, they could finally begin to heal.